one thing, if a little green man pops out of me, I'm shooting first and asking questions later.
You are on the verge of destroying the entire universe.
Welcome to the Strange Podcast with Sam and Logan.
If you enjoy the show, please go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you're listening from and give us a good rating. If you want to share a story or have ideas for future episodes, you are welcome to visit us at www.thestrangepodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you. You're listening to The Strange Podcast, Episode 6, Do Shadow People Make Good Hitmen? And as always, I'm Logan Marks.
And I'm Sam Baxter. Today's November 12th, 2017. Well, Logan, have you done anything good this week?
I didn't really do anything, man. You know what? I'm trying to remember if I did anything this week, and I'm coming to a blank because it must have been pretty boring.
Or it could have been that good.
It could have been that good, yeah.
So good that you just had nothing to say. Just everything you would say you'd feel like you'd make me feel bad. And
I did take up drinking as a hobby this week, so maybe that's why it's all just going into a big blur.
Drinking is a hobby, so like pesticides, or what are you drinking? what do you have? What's your poison?
I just started drinking. I just started buying beer for some reason. It's like drinking it at night, so it helps me sleep.
Oh, really?
So I just drink like a can of beer, just to help me sleep. So like after I do it, I get like pretty drowsy, so I just end up just crashing out. So it's been working for me, so I just keep going.
Wow, that's weird. I thought only opium did that, but I guess if beer works for you, man, maybe I should jump down to beer. It might be cheaper for me. No, I'm kidding, people. I'm kidding. I don't do opium.
The opium's too much for you?
Yeah, maybe not for me. My tolerance is already high enough that with that and a little bit of cocaine, everything's okay.
You gotta mix the uppers and the lowers, so you can kind of keep it like a little level.
Yeah, I just want to be normal like everybody else. So some opium, some cocaine. Why not? Maybe I should do some angel dust too.
I don't know. They say prescription drugs are like the drug of America's drug of choice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's one of the main killers of American citizens, I guess.
You seen like Tylenol and all that shit, Advil?
No, most opiates.
Really?
Yeah, like painkillers and things like that.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah, I think I remember that football player Brett Favre had been hooked on painkillers as well as Rush Limbaugh. Mm-hmm. So I guess it must feel pretty good, huh?
I guess. I don't know. I haven't tried them. Well, yeah, I have tried them. They do feel good.
I'm just not hooked on I don't know what you're talking about. Well, yeah, okay, I have done it. Okay, I'm popping some right now. Okay,
I had to take painkillers.
You had to.
So one time I got hurt, so they prescribed me some. So
I think I remember that. When you slip and you scrape your knee, I don't think you need painkiller for that, man. I think that's for hangnails. I think that's for people who have surgeries and stuff. I think your hangnail doesn't really qualify as a reason to have that.
As a reason for hardcore drugs.
But the guy at the corner, he told me that I needed it. He said it would be perfect for my hangnail.
The alley doctor told me.
Yeah, man. Speaking of being sick, man, I was pretty wiped this last week. It sucked.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least you didn't have anything to do. I mean, dang, but me, I was thrashed. I did a courtesy. I stayed home from work. I stayed home from work for 3 days this last week because I didn't want to share my germs with anybody. I figure that's the best policy. I don't like when people share with me. I'm a stickler about that. I'm not gonna lie.
I try not to go to work unless I have to.
Yeah, but I was pretty thrashed, and I know that there's times when people go to work and they're sick and you hear them sneezing and coughing and sneezing and it's like fuck. Mm-hmm. And so I try not to be that person. So I stayed home. I was pretty wrecked last week, and I'll admit it, I stayed home.
Yeah, but sometimes you can't. I mean, sometimes you got to go.
Yeah, you miss 3 days and you kind of get real far behind. And so
so you can go in.
Yeah, so I went on Friday. I was feeling a lot better on Friday. Still, getting that phlegm out. It's got to come out. You don't want to stay in there, so it's got to come out. So you got to blow your nose a lot and stuff. But the guy at work that always freaks out about all that stuff. Because I sit in an office. It's really big. Share it with like another 15, 20 people. It's just basically, that the open space area where they want everyone to collaborate in office spaces where it's no more walls, just more open collaboration. Everybody.
Yeah, kind of get teamwork.
Yeah, kumbaya and all that bullshit. So, yeah, but there's a guy there. Good guy. Funny guy. But, his name was Roy Bolt Lumber. And
Roy Bolt Lumber.
yeah, Roy Bolt.
Is he
Lumber.
one of those kinds that has the parallel? He's always like rubbing it on his hands and doesn't want to get sick.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't watch him that close, but I'm not a stalker, so I don't really watch him. But yeah, he didn't like that I was there coffeeed and sneezing somewhat, man. And I was like, "Fuck, guy, like take it easy." I was like, I was wrecked on middle of the week, so I stayed home. I'm a lot better today. It's just the residual effects of having a cold. How everyone has a cold at the end. You got to get it all out, right? And it still sounds like you're sick, but man, Roy was freaking out, man. So Roy
Couldn't handle it.
Mr. Bolt Lumber, I'm sorry. No disrespect. You're a cool guy, but don't freak out, man. I ain't like that. If you ever listen to my show, or you listen to the show, you know that I ain't like that. So just be cool, Roy. That's all I ask. But
man, I remember when I was a kid. There's this one kid. We were sitting on the bus and we were like, he was on the outside of the seat, and we were both on the inside, and he's just sitting there, right? And we're talking, and all of a sudden he starts sneezing. He had like just got over a cold, so he was like towards the end of it. And so he's talking, and all of a sudden he just starts sneezing, right? It was like one big sneeze, and then another one. Then he kept going, and all of a sudden this huge, I swear it would got to be like at least 3 feet. Like 3 feet of
what?
Of snot just hanging from his nose, and he kept sneezing.
Oh shit!
And I swear it had to be at least probably 2 or 3 inches in diameter.
Did it look like some gross Laffy Taffy? When it's kind of
okay. It looks like that. Like that slime stuff you buy.
Oh, like Slimer and Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like Slimer and Ghostbusters. But like the more he sneezed, like the more all this bubble started coming out, and it just got bubbly. It's like longer and bigger. And then me and my friend were just like trying to crawl out the window because he was blocking it. It's like we were right in there. We couldn't get away from it.
Oh, he wasn't letting you out.
So and he wouldn't get out of the way. He was just there like trying not to let it like fall and just like hanging from his nose. Oh my god, it was so gross. And we were just like pushing each other away from it, trying to get away.
Push each other in front of each other. Like you take it. You trying
to push each other towards us so we get the other one could get further away.
Oh man.
I just remember that it was like horrible.
That's weird because as some people know that Logan and I have known each other for a while, so we went to the same school. But I believe that I know who you're talking about. Because I remember way back in the day in 2nd grade, there was a guy, same thing. I remember him sneezing in class. And I remember just for some reason I look over at him after he sneezed, because it was like a loud sneeze, and it was a big sneeze.
Yeah.
He sat towards the back, and I sat like maybe 1 row in front of him. I look back, and he's just looking down, and there's like about 3 or 4 inches of snot from his nose that are just hanging there, and he just like has his head hanging down over it as if he's looking down at something, but it's the snot just hanging down. And I remember he gets it with his hand and he just pulls it up like it's a long straight of spaghetti, and he's pulling it all the way up to his nose. He has it like cupping his nose, and he's like, "Can I go to the bathroom?" I'm looking, I'm like, what the fuck is this? What is this mess? And I remember he left, and I remember seeing him do it about 3 times that year. He would always collect it all the way up to his nose, and it was like 3 or 4 inches of just long snots.
Oh man, yeah, we're probably talking about the same guy.
Yeah, I just
he had a talent for it again.
Yeah, because I never saw anyone else do that, and you've seen a lot of people sneeze, but this guy did that.
Yeah,
and it is the exact same story you're telling me, and it was like I just remember to this day I still remember that. So I can never purge it. I don't think.
It's like stuck in your brain forever.
Man. That's like, you just can't get rid of that, man. There's certain things that you just can't get rid of, and it's fucked up. And that's the worst part of it. Is they're fucked up.
Just melted into your mind.
Seriously, man. You're
like, never to leave.
Okay. So I think if I ever become demented or gain amnesia, I think I will still remember those snots and a few other things that I've seen. Because man,
I felt the same way. It's pretty scary.
It was pretty bad, man. It was.
The only thing scarier than that, I think, would be shadow people.
Well, there's a lot of things out there that are scary, but shadow people are, to some, very scary. Now, I know a few weeks ago when we had a show, and I was talking about Ouija boards. Remember, I told you I saw one in my home. I was a little bit freaked out from it, but I guess not really. I'm not saying I'm Mr. Universe and I'm immortal, but I just think that I don't know what it was. But yes, shadow people. I know to a lot of people online, and a lot of people who have experienced them are a little bit odd, a little bit scary. And I think it also has to do with like the paralysis when you're sleeping, like when your show. When you talked about that, I think that shadow people also do dwell in that type of realm. But basically, like a shadow person, also known as a shadow figure or just a black mass, is basically the perception of a patch of a shadow as a living humanoid figure, particularly as interpreted by believers in the paranormal or supernatural as the presence of spirit or the entity. So they're also known as like shadow man, shadow folk, shadow beings, but they're just supposed to be like shadow-like creatures that are just dark, that appear as dark forms and like in the peripheral of somebody's eyes. And a lot of times when the people look over, they disintegrate, or they appear to like walk through walls when they're finally noticed.
Oh, okay.
So, but they're not always like that. Some people actually see them like head on, and I'm gonna get some of that. But a lot of people, they describe them, they're like menacing, and a few people have been chased, and very few have been attacked by them. And people who do see them, they're just basically accompanied by the feeling of dread, like what they saw was not cool, and they're just like scared, like basically freaked out, like fuck, that wasn't cool.
Well, because you see somebody like in the corner of your eye, and you think there's gonna be somebody there.
Yeah, or like I said, if you actually see it like head on, it's even worse because basically they have no facial expressions, but yet they come off as menacing. So I don't know how that works, right? I mean, if somebody, a lot of times somebody menacing looks like they have like a scowl or a look of hate, but if they have none of that, yet they come off as menacing, that's pretty scary, I think.
So is it like a shadow? Is it like a shadow like on a wall, or is it just like a dark figure like walking around a room?
They basically appear as weightless, massless, and two-dimensional.
Okay.
But there are also reports of three-dimensional as well. And again, I'll get into a couple stories that people have told me about that. But they're said to be like they move pretty slow, as if like moving through sludge. Or they can
Like
just...
sloths?
What's that?
Like a sloth?
Kind of. But also, there's also other accounts of them being as very rapid. Like they can just move quick, like faster than we are. So it's not just one speed. It's all speed, whatever they need to do, whatever they're trying to do, it works for them, and it freaks us out. But there's also a couple accounts that are a little bit different, and they describe the creature as black, just completely black, with red eyes, sometimes a cloak, or like a gentleman's hat, like one of those fedora type hats.
Fedora?
Yeah. It's all Crocodile Dundee or something.
It's like a pimp shadow person.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm here to collect on my pussy. Yeah.
Click my shadow hose.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you slept with a couple of my women, so I need my monies. Yeah, man. So that person is also referred to as the Hat Man, and people have also said to have
so there's actual Hat Man guy.
Yeah, he's a Hat Man. This pimp is a Hat Man. He's known as the Hat Man. It's kind of weird, and that's what people have said that they've experienced or they've seen. Again, I haven't seen any of these. Just that one that was really brief, but again, they always bring like a feeling of fright, or they're not here for something cool. They're not here to give you money or their blessings, or good fortune. It's usually something, I guess, kind of freaky. It's nothing like cool. Okay. So a lot of people don't know what they are. They've been hailed as like ghosts. Some people think that because ghosts can be malevolent and curious. But normal ghosts, usually what everyone sees are like, the white vapor-like, human characteristics, right? Not the black, completely black with maybe red eyes or a fedora or, or the hat. That's what some people might think is maybe it's a ghost. Or maybe they're like time travelers, Maybe they're just, people that appear to us as a passing shadow as they observe our events in their timeline. Maybe that's all we see from them.
Like holograms?
Maybe, yeah. That's all we get from them, from their travels. They see us, they can monitor us, but we can't see them completely in full form, because for whatever way they're traveling, however dimension, whatever they're doing, it doesn't allow us to do that. There's also been thoughts of them being interdimensional beings, so like a parallel world, You know, what if a being in a parallel world found its way into ours, but it looks like a shadow as it does it, right? Maybe that's the form it has to take to be in ours. So I was reading a little bit about that, and on the quantum level, like particles of the smallest size exist as vibrations. So one of the thoughts was that maybe these vibrations of our existence are beginning to mesh with those of another dimension.
Okay.
So
like alternate just multiple universes.
Exactly. And what if we're like bleeding over, or like I said, they're traveling into ours and they're watching us or monitoring us or whatever, but we can't do anything. We don't know. And then, of course, a lot of people, skeptics, think it's just in your imagination. You're not seeing this. It's your mind playing tricks on you. Our eyes are easily fooled, so what we think we see isn't really there. So when the eyes fold, the brain has to make up an excuse for it. So maybe it just makes up the whole thing, right? It's possible. You know, another thought is that maybe other people around the world who are having their out-of-body experiences turn into these shadow people. What if their body, they're projecting it to you in front of you, and what you see is their shadow, and it freaks you out, but to them it's their out-of-body experience.
Okay, so like someone's like traveling outside the body.
Exactly.
And they're floating around, and you're seeing that.
Exactly. That's what you see, but you don't know it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible, right?
Well, anything's possible, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that one seems, you know, if you believe in all that stuff, that seems to make the most sense. And then, of course, you know, aliens. People think that, like abductees have reported that gray aliens can pass through walls and close windows and appear and disappear abruptly, and just do a bunch of other crazy shit like that. So, what if these beings, like the interdimensional ghosts, or interdimensional beings, or like ghosts, you know, or like time travelers, what if they're doing the same thing?
What would they be here for? Is like a reality shows or something?
I think they like the Kardashians. I think they think they're pretty hot,
like a Truman Show kind of thing going.
Yeah, you know, they're checking it out, you know, to see hoping American Idol comes back on TV, you know,
or Jesus making sure you're not masturbating at night.
Well, he's gonna fail for a lot of people, I'll tell you that.
You're gonna make God cry.
Yeah, I know. And of course, the last thing, what people think are demons. Maybe these things are just pure evil. They're demonic, and they're here to, you know, stop you, or, you know, scare you, or whatever the demon or devil is here for. That's what it's doing.
Good old demons.
Yeah,
you can't go wrong with demons, you know.
Well, I saw one of the movies, Night of the Demon, the remake. It was pretty shitty. So I'm gonna have to argue with you on that one.
I know Demon Knight was pretty awesome.
Demon Knight was good. That was the best Tales from the Crypt movie. Damn, Demon Knight was a damn good movie, wasn't it?
That was one of my favorites.
That was. That's honestly. I've seen a lot of movies in my day, and there's a ton of them. I'm not one who collects movies. I sold all my DVDs at the beginning of the 2000s because I didn't really need them. I was just buying them and having them. And a lot of people I know still have like hundreds and hundreds of movies from their DVD. Now they have Blu-ray. I ask them, how many of them do you still watch? None. Why the fuck do you have them? Why are you buying these all the time?
I buy a couple of them. It depends on if I really like
Exactly. So that was my point. Is there's like probably about 4 movies that I'll watch again. Like I wouldn't mind putting on and watching again. Predator, of course, being on the top of the list.
Yeah, you gotta have your classics that you like to put in.
Predator was great, man. I mean, that movie still holds up now. The it's not dated. It was actually on HBO last week, and when I was sick, I fucking watched it because the movie's good. But Demon Knight's in that classification. I have me personally, I have like 4 to 5 movies that I would still watch again, and I would own the DVD for. And Demon Knight's one of them. So you're right, Demon Knight was a good movie. It was well done, but I'm sorry that Bordello of Blood. Remember the next?
Yeah, that was crap.
Fuck. I mean, I know it showed. I think it tried to show like a lot of titties and you know that be its highlight, but it just.
I know, but that's what Pornhub's for.
I know. But remember, that was in the late '90s, right? This is before Pornhub.
Oh, that's true. That's what.
Yeah, this is when you had to get your fix from that. You had to see some naked chicks on the TV, and you'd be like, "Oh my god, you know, I'm gonna make Jesus and then God angry tonight." You know. So, but I mean, that was back in the day, and those movies were not that good. That one wasn't that good, but yeah, Demon Knight was good. So, sorry, I digress. But yeah, you're right. Demon Knight is good. But yeah, so a lot of people think that the shadow people are just, you know, demon incantations where they're just here to fuck with you and to spread their evil. like I said, there was a couple cases. So I know I mentioned him before a couple weeks ago, but my cousin Sal Undy, he shared with me his story. So he was saying that one night, him and his friend, who I knew very well, he was a good guy, and sadly he left this astral plane about 5-6 years ago. They were playing video games in the room, and it was nighttime, like winter time, so 7 o'clock, it's already dark. And his room was at the back of the house, but it had a door attached to it. So he had a front door, and they had a back door, which was kind of like off the side of the house. But then they had this third door that was in his bedroom, and it was never opened. It was always sealed. When they moved in, it was sealed. And as growing up and going there all the time, that door was never open. It was always sealed. But it was a door. You knew it was a door. So one night they're just playing games, and somebody knocks on that door. Again, this is under the carport. It's really dark back there. There's like no way to even know that door is even there. It's like impossible to know. But somebody knocks on that door. So him and his buddy like look at each other like, what the fuck? So he had like a small like square porthole size like window, and he opened the glass, and he couldn't see outside. So he had to press his face to the window to see anything, because the light from the inside was just blinding outside. So as he did that, he could see that there was a man out there, and he was wearing like a fedora type hat, but it's just all black. So the guy's like black. He can see his outline of him. It's already creepily black back there. You can't see anything. There's no light back there, but he could see a blacker than black there, wearing the fedora hat. And so Sal asked him, hey, can I help you? And he said, the guy in a low voice says, is this the front door? So Sal was kind of annoyed, as this game was interrupted. And keep in mind, he's like 12, 13 years old, right? He's not, his, courtesy is not his huge thing right now, but he's kind of like, but he was a little bit spooked out and said, no, you need to go around on the other side. And so the fedora guy asks again, is this the front door? And Sal says, no, come around to the other side. So Sal came out of his room and was freaked out. So he told his mother that this guy was knocking on his door. And he told him that the guy was coming out to the front. So his mother looked confused and would even attempt to knock on that steel door. Because like I said, I knew his room. I knew all that it does not look like a door, but it is a door. And it's never been opened ever in all the years that we lived there, or that he lived there, but I visited. And so him and his mom went to the front, and they waited. He opened the door, and the guy never came around. And he didn't know anything about shadow people. Again, this is like I want to say like early 90s. Could have been late 80s, but he didn't know anything about shadow people. And years later on the Great Art Bell show, they made a distinct feature of the fedora hat.
Oh, and you remember that story from the past?
Yeah, he's like, oh my god, I think I saw was a shadow person.
Oh man, that would be a scary thing to like listen. You're listening to that radio show, and all of a sudden like they're talking about the same creature.
Yeah, that was at your door, and they had tried to get in. It's basically trying to get in. So he didn't know. So he was kind of like, damn, that was kind of crazy. That's kind of weird. And so years later, he has a younger sister, a few years younger than him. And this was like, 10 years later. He was talking about it, and she heard him. And she said, yeah, I kind of experienced something as well. And he's like, oh, like what? Well, in the back of their house, like where that door was, back there used to be chicken coops. The dad used to have chicken coops because he did farming. So one day when his sister was out there, she was like 8 years old, and she was playing in the chicken coop, and she was swinging on the rooster swings. So 8 years old, no big deal. And when she was swinging at the entrance to the cage, she noticed that there was like a black. This is in the daytime, and she noticed a blacker than black shadow standing there watching her. And she didn't think anything of it. She didn't know anything about it. She was 8 years old. She didn't even get scared. And it was like no big deal to her, and she just overlooked it.
Yeah, she's probably like still like a fantasy.
Yeah, she's in the middle between that, right? Didn't care. She just overlooked it and kept playing. And she said that the form looked like it was wearing like a trench coat and a hat, but she didn't know what type of hat. Again, she was 8, and she said it just looked like some type of dress-up hat. And she just eventually just got bored and decided to leave. But as she walked past it and looked back, she noticed it leaned to the side, like trying to get a better look at her, but it didn't follow her. And I mean, that was basically about it. But they both experienced or knew that something was out there. They just didn't know that each one had experienced anything. So they thought it was a little bit weird. Yeah, luckily nothing malevolent happened to them, and they didn't experience anything bad. But there was obviously something out there. It was crazy. But another person a woman I used to work with, and her name was Amanda. So one other quick story, she was telling me that one evening she came home. It was about 9 o'clock, and she lived with her mom, no dad in her life. And the mom was like laying in bed, and she's like, "Oh, you're home," and they were just talking a little bit. The mom's like, "Right, I want to keep getting ready for bed." So the mom left the bedroom. Lights were off in the bedroom. She went to the bathroom and she was like brushing her teeth, but she left the lights on. So the lights from the bathroom were dimming into the bedroom. And so she was just laying there, just chilling on the bed. And all of a sudden, it felt like sometimes you see in movies where like time kind of like zooms out, and it's like you're in another place. And that's what she felt. She felt like when you're looking at something and you can kind of zone out, and something different is there. Like the world around you is different. She could still see the light. She could still see the bedroom, but all of a sudden something black appeared at the door, and it was looking at her, and she was like, "What the fuck?" And it had like she said this one only had one red eye, and the one red eye, it started coming in at her, and she was sitting there and she was freaking out like, "What the fuck is this thing?" And she was yelling for her mom, but the mom wouldn't come in, and she's like, "Mom," and the thing just kept getting closer to her and closer to her, and it reached out for her and it tried grabbing her legs. And she was kicking at it, and it kept grabbing her. It was like really like furious and really aggressive, trying to grab her and pull on her legs, pull her. And she was fighting it, and she says as it was doing that, it was kind of making like a gurgling sound as if it was underwater.
Oh, weird.
It was just like boom, 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 and it was trying to like get to her, and she was fighting it. She was kicking it as hard as she could, and she was fighting it off. And every time she'd kick it, it'd pull back, but it'd go back in again, try to get her, and she wasn't able to. And it was starting to like kind of getting closer, and she was just going crazy, mom. And the thing was just kind of getting closer and making its way, like putting up with the hits. But she was finally kicked it hard enough that it finally like let go. Like it just kind of flailed off to the side. And as soon as it did that, her mom walked right in. And it's like, "What are you doing?" And she looked over at her mom, and her mom was just standing at the door. She's like, "Did you see that?" And her mom's like, "What? Like, see what?"
I didn't see shit.
Yeah. Fucking. And the mom thought like she was like on drugs or something. And she's like, "No, I just came home from work." And the mom's like, I didn't see anything." And she was like, and she was freaking out, man. She just like she couldn't, like her heart was racing. She was like about to have a heart attack. She was like dying there. And the mom's like, just questioning her. She's like, "How long were you gone?" And mom's like, "I was just brushing my teeth, whatever women do, comb your hair or whatever you gotta do before you go to bed."
And the mom didn't hear any like the screaming or
nothing.
The
Nothing
that was going on?
There was no screaming at all.
Oh.
All she saw was her screaming at the very end when she walked in, and she was like she was screaming, like kicking it away. She heard like that last scream, and she didn't hear anything before that.
Oh, wow.
It was like nothing happened. So Amanda would say every once in a while, she couldn't sleep like with the lights off.
I wouldn't be able to do that either.
Yeah, because she says every once in a while she'd kind of get brave enough to do that. And she said like one time that she was hanging out, or she was asleep. She was laying in bed, lights off, little light from the outside, from like one of the street lights was coming in, and it was like it like made a little shadow on her wall next to her bed, and she was just kind of looking at the shadow. And after like about 5-10 seconds of the shadow, she saw the shadow start moving. Like it was starting, like a hand was starting to form, and she turned on her light right there, and it disappeared. She's like, "Nope. Not doing it again."
Are they afraid of the light? Because like some of them come out during the day.
This one must be afraid of the light, or her light, or something.
Or like there are different versions that are afraid of, or aren't able to appear in certain conditions.
That's the thing. I mean, why? Why would that be? Why would that even be the case? What would make it afraid of the light? Why couldn't it just, you know, if some could be in the daytime, you know, it goes, or some are just at night. What are the stipulations for that?
Yeah.
There's nothing to. I mean, it's like too bad you couldn't just, you know, fucking hunt one down and kill it like with a hitman or something.
Yeah, well, I have some stories about Hitmen.
Oh man,
Are you ready? Are you ready for some cool Hitman stories?
oh, like the video game Hitman?
More like stupid Hitman, I guess.
Stupid Hitman. All right, I like it. This sounds like it's gonna be fun.
So this one was back in 2013. A man had just bought a cabin, and the contractor had messed up on the plumbing. So he was expecting a call from a plumber that was supposed to come and fix it. So he's unpacking his stuff, and then the phone rings. So he thinks it's the plumber calling.
Was this Joe the plumber?
Joe the plumber?
It's the guy that was helping John McCain win the election.
Waiting for John McCain's call.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah.
John McCain's problem. He posted on Reddit. Okay.
He's gonna save everybody with a wrench.
Yeah.
So he goes in, he picks it up, and then a woman answers, and she tells him that he's being contacted by a company called Booth World Industries.
Booth World Industries.
Yeah.
Is this like Vandalay Industries?
Vandalay. Art Vandalay.
Yeah.
This is Art Vandalay coming from Booth World.
Okay.
She seems to know like all his information, like his name, his address, phone number, pretty much like all his personal stuff.
Oh shit.
And he's kind of freaking out because he's never talked to this company before.
Yeah.
She goes on and she asks him like, "Can you give me a name?" And he's not understanding what she's talking about. She's like, "Just we need a person's name." And so he's just like, okay, like he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know make of it. So he's just like, he just gives a fake name.
Sure.
And so the woman on the other end goes like, no, we can't accept fake names.
How's she know it's fake?
Yeah. So this freaks him out a little. And the woman's like, you got to give us a real name. And he's like, oh man, she knows too much. He gives his ex-girlfriend's name off the top of his head. He just picks a name out to see where the phone call is going to go. So the woman begins, typing on her computer, and then says that, well, your ex-girlfriend will be scheduled for remodeling.
Remodeling?
Yeah, remodeling.
Okay.
On August 21st, 2015, which is about 2 years from now, from that time.
Jeez.
She then asks, would you like to reschedule it? And he's thinking, like, this must be a prank, So he's like, he thinks it's a joke. So he's like, okay, yeah, let's reschedule it. How about Tuesday at 3 o'clock? He's messing around. Yeah. So the woman asks him, well, do you want a courtesy call?
Courtesy call.
And he's like, courtesy call? And he's still thinking it's a joke. So he's like, yeah, whatever, sure. So the woman, she confirms the times and thanks him for using Booth World Industries, and she welcomes him to the club, and then she hangs up. So he thinking it's a prank or whatever, so he thinks nothing of it.
Yeah.
And Tuesday rolls around, and the man he's home watching television, and the phone rings again. So he answers the phone, and then it's the same woman again. And she's like, this is Booth World Industries again, and your courtesy call begins now. And all of a sudden, you can hear screaming in the background and whimpering and crying. And he's confused, and he's like, who is this? It's like he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And when he listens to the voice, he realizes that it's his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, shit. Is she like
yeah,
having sex or something?
She's screaming in pain.
No, I'm sure, yeah.
Well, it could be sex still, too. So she's asking him, like, why are you doing this? And she's begging for him, like, why are you doing this to me? And she's begging, please, have the guy stop. And then all of a sudden he hears a loud thud, and then a man's voice gets on the line and says, and asks him, are you satisfied with the remodeling?
Remodeling, what the fuck does that mean?
And he's like,
gee.
So, and he thinks like, oh man, they killed her.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's remembers his ex-girlfriend, how much pain she had caused him, and he's like, yeah, I'm satisfied with it.
He's like, fucking good work.
He's like, yeah,
I would recommend you to all these other guys of mine. There's a lot of ex-bitches in our lives, and we need some remodeling. Oh yeah, send me a video.
So
yeah, he says yeah.
So
what a crazy guy.
So like after he says yes, he's like, yeah. The phone all of a sudden goes into this loud dial tone, and then it returns back to the operator, and then asks him if he would like to make another appointment for remodeling.
Jeez.
The man's thinking about, that contractor, he's like, he's the one that screwed me over.
Yeah.
And he was like, maybe I should give him his name. So he gives him the guy's name, right? And the operator tells him the contractor's appointment won't be until like July 13, 2032.
Fuck.
And so she's like, would you like to reschedule it? So the man's like, he's like, all like, yeah, this guy screwed me over. He's all set on revenge.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, how about this Thursday? Mm-hmm. That'd be perfect. And the operator begins typing on the computer, and he says, well, I'm sorry, sir. Thursday will not work because you are scheduled for remodeling on Wednesday night.
Oh, shit.
So,
fuck, so I want to cancel that order. Cancel that fucking order.
So, like, she tells him that he's able to cancel it. He has to get 1,000 people to call this number, 630-296-7536, and have them become members. He puts this online. After he does this, it becomes like super popular, and you can actually call that number and you can get a message. So if you call, you'll leave this message.
You have reached Booth World Industries. Your number has been logged and traced. A service representative will be with you shortly for remodeling. We at Booth World Industries say thanks. You have a marvelous day.
So this is a real number then?
Yeah,
people have been
I called it.
Oh, you called it?
Yeah, I called it just to see what it was kind of...
Are you going to be remodeled?
I don't know. Like, well, I got it. I called and then I got that message. And so there's been a couple people like on YouTube and or they have claimed that they have been called back by the number.
Oh, really?
And they usually when they do, they get freaked out, so they just hang up.
What do the people say to them?
They'll ask them they'll ask them for a name.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so like, and most of them just like hang up because they get too scared.
Oh.
Like I called and I was like kind of freaked out. I was like, oh man, what if somebody asks?
Yeah. Give me a name.
So yeah, so like I said, it could be like a hoax on the internet, or somebody's probably just set that number up and had people call back. I doubt it's real, but I just thought that was an interesting story, and it's just kind of a fun story for people to hear, tell people, and then you tell somebody about it, and then have them call the number.
So there were a lot of like replies on the Reddit post. A lot of people saying if they got names or they gave names and anything happened, or
yeah, there was a bunch of they said they got called back, and the guy would ask for a name, or he would know who they are, like he would know their name already, and he would know that people like they would call and the person would know who's in the room with them.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so it was pretty. Some of the YouTube videos are pretty. You can go on YouTube and look up Booth World Industries, and you can see a bunch of.
That sounds pretty cool.
Like even if it's fake, it's a pretty cool hoax.
So is this like a creepypasta or something, or?
Yeah, but yeah, I really like that story. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, that sounds kind of cool. Especially like if that guy, I mean, no disrespect for the girl, but man, it sounds like he took care of an ex pain in his ass. I mean, fuck, he's probably hoping for that years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fuck, if he got that, man, yeah, I guess he's happy, right? Yet,
yeah, well, not anymore because he's gonna get an ex.
I mean, well, sounds like everybody called for it on his behalf, right?
Well, he's probably got more than 1,000 calls, so he's probably safe by
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I wonder if anybody who got calls or called in gave his name as he's got to keep doing it. Everyone's fucking give it to him. And he thinks he's getting out of it. He's all people get against him.
It just keeps pulling me back in.
Every time I'm out, pull me back in.
So I got another story. This is from Melbourne, Australia.
Okay.
So there's this guy, and he suspected his wife was cheating on him. So he wanted to get back at her. And so, he made the logical decision to hire 2 hitmen to have her killed.
That's getting back. He couldn't have slept with their sister. Couldn't have fucked their best friend. And
I know he couldn't just leave her.
That seems a lot cheaper and a lot more damaging, don't you think?
Yeah, that's what I would think.
I mean, at least that wouldn't land you in jail. All right, well, guy number 1, let's hear what happened to your bright fucking story.
So he paid them $7,000 to do the dirty deed.
$7,000 for that woman.
They did it where they went on a trip to go to his wife's stepmother's funeral.
Okay.
So he went on the trip with her and had her taken care of, and then he returned, and then he came back with the news to his community that his wife had died in a terrible accident.
Okay.
So they had this funeral for her, and everybody was trying to comfort him, and he was loving all the attention, and
yeah, he's top of the world.
Yeah, he was
guy number one.
He was free from his wife. The people were giving him all this affection, and so the funeral goes through, and all of a sudden it comes to a close, and the last person is leaving, and they wave him goodbye. So he goes back in the living room. He's thinking to himself, "Man, I got away with this free and clear."
Yeah.
He committed the perfect murder.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, he's standing there in the living room, and he sees his wife come in from the kitchen. She just kind of emerges from the kitchen.
What the fuck?
And he's like freaking out. All the color drains from his face.
Yeah.
And she's walking slowly towards him and says, "Why did you kill me?" And so he is
shitting bricks.
He's shitting bricks. And he's so scared that he confesses all the stuff. He confesses how he had her killed and everything.
Jackass.
Let's just go back to the beginning.
Okay.
When they went on the trip to go to the funeral.
Yeah, she fucked the hitman? She got out of it?
That's something like that.
Oh, God. I'm not surprised.
Not really. Well, what happened was at her stepmother's funeral, she started feeling sick. So she said, "I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to the hotel room and kind of see if I feel a little better." So while she's at the hotel, her husband calls her and says, "Are you doing okay? Maybe you should go outside and get some fresh air."
Okay.
So she does. And while she's out there, all of a sudden she's confronted by this man holding her up at gunpoint and tells her to get in a van. So she's freaking out. She's fearing for her life, so she just complies. She gets in the van, and they drive around for a couple hours. They take her into his building, and they tie her to a chair. The kidnappers had told the woman that her husband had paid them to kill her. And she, she didn't believe it. She was all upset. Because
she loved him so much, huh?
Yeah, basically, like he would never do anything like that to me. So the hitmen, they get the husband on speakerphone, and they have her listen to the conversation. So she listens to them negotiating the price, and it's $7,000. And her husband's final word was like, "Go kill her now." After he says that, everything goes dark. And a few minutes later, she wakes up. She had fainted. And then the kidnappers, they tell her they didn't believe in killing women.
Okay.
And basically one of the kidnappers had known her brother, and her brother had helped them out at one time in the past. The two hitmen decided that they were just going to take her husband's money and then just let her go. Let her husband believe that
she had died.
That they had killed her.
Wow.
So they set her free. She went and contacted her pastor and from her church, and she contacted the police. They helped her get back to the house. When she did that, when she went and confronted him, she had a recorder on her. And so he basically confessed everything right there. So now the guy's serving like 9 years in prison.
So she got off. So she got to fuck the other guys. She got off.
Well, she didn't fuck anybody.
Did you say at the beginning that she was having an affair?
No, he just believed she was having an affair, but she wasn't.
Oh, that guy got screwed twice over.
I know, he got bent over royally.
Lost all that cash, and he's in prison. Dummy. Well, I'm glad the hitmen have a code.
I helped her ass out.
Yeah, it's good to know. Damn.
So you ever get kidnapped,
Well,
hopefully
I'm a man, so I guess I
know we're pretty much dead.
Yeah. There's no getting out of that one, huh? So you have any other good stories about hitmen?
I got one more good story I think that you might like.
All right.
This one I think was pretty funny.
Okay.
So in 2005, there was this 18-year-old girl, and she wanted to be a model. She said that she needed $8,000 to pay her modeling agency, which is kind of gives you a hint of her intelligence, because most modeling agencies don't ask you for payment.
Yeah.
If you have talent, they'll pay you.
Yeah, exactly.
So she goes thinking that she needs to come up with some money. So she remembers a few days back that she had got into her neighbor's house to borrow something, and in the kitchen she saw a pile of cocaine on their dining room table.
Oh, shit. A pile of cocaine?
So she's like, "Oh, you know what? Yeah.
Money."
So she comes up with this plan. It's like, if I can break into the house and steal that coke, I can sell it.
All right.
And then she can get her, her payday.
Exactly.
Her only problem was that there was like 4 men living in that house.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and she decided that it'd be easier if she went in and hired a hitman to have them all killed, and then she could just easily go in there and grab that pile of coke, and then she can go and sell it and make her money.
So one with no money is gonna hire some hitmen? With what money?
So she tells her friend, like, do you know anybody that I can hire to kill off some guys, and I'll pay you afterwards after I get the cocaine.
Okay.
The friend, who probably knows how stupid this girl is, he decides to go to the cops.
Okay.
And he tells the cops what's going on.
Sure.
So they get an undercover cop, and they meet up with her, and they talk about wants to pay the cop to kill the 4 guys. So he says, you know what, you can save a lot of money if you do it yourself. So the cop,
Fuck.
so the cop gives her this handgun, but it's a non-functioning handgun.
Okay.
With fake ammunition that doesn't shoots blanks.
Blanks. Okay.
Yeah. So they go in there, and he says, you can do the job yourself. You save yourself some money. You get the coke. You're good. You're good to go. So she's.
Jeez.
So she's like, okay, I'm
smart. I can do this.
Down. Yeah, I can handle this. So she goes in, but what she doesn't know is that when she goes in, they have the whole place under surveillance.
Yeah.
Now they have it all recorded, so they can record her doing everything. So as soon as she breaks in and tries to use a gun, the cops come in and they bust her, and she got charged for 4 counts of attempted murder and 4 counts of soliciting murder.
Damn.
And now she ended up serving 15 years in prison, so she'll be out. But this was a while ago, so she'll be out in 2022.
Jeez.
But the thing is, that pile of cocaine, it was queso fresco. It was the Mexican cheese.
Oh God.
So there was like a big pile of it on the table, on the dining room table.
She thought fucking cheese was coke.
Yeah. She thought it was cocaine.
This girl must have been really hot for a modeling agency to want her and be that dumb.
She wasn't that. Like, if you look at her pictures, I don't even know how she thought she was going to get into a modeling agency.
Oh, so that's why, because they said, hey, we'll take your money if you want to come in. But
yeah,
like you said, they should have been paying for her to come in, signing her for a contract. Oh my God, she thought it was fucking cheese, Mexican cheese. That was cocaine. It's like remember Cheech and Chong when that guy did that Ajax? He thought it was coke, and he did that Ajax.
Yeah.
That chick did that Ajax, and she was all fucked up. Because remember Chong was like cleaning something, and she thought it was coke, and he couldn't stop her, and she's like, "Oh." Oh my God! So this girl thought that.
Oh man, yeah, yeah, she wasn't. I guess she wasn't the brightest of the bunch.
Oh, and now you're saying she wasn't that hot either, so I guess there was no chance for her.
I don't know. She had, I guess, nothing going for her. I guess. So.
Damn, that girl was dumb. If she wanted to sell that for some fucking cash, she could have ate that and been happy. Well, that's too bad, but that's her fucking choice, right?
Did you have any more stories of the Shadow People, or
no? That was it for today.
That was the guy.
Yeah. Yeah, the Shadow People, like I said, I know there's a lot of people who have experienced it, and there's lots of boards on it you can find online. And they're just malevolent, weightless, massless beings that nobody knows what they are, or what they're doing here.
Like when you were talking about that door, I'm almost like, it almost made me think like maybe like door was maybe like a portal.
Could it have been? Maybe it was.
Maybe it was like just like a portal to different dimensions, and maybe they were like slipping through. Like it didn't have to be open; it was just kind of like a way for them to get through, like a symbolic door between the two universes.
I get that. Unfortunately, we're not intelligent enough to know why. Like, why would that door? Like, does it have to be? Was it like some solstice, some certain time of the year that allowed that? I mean, why not all the time? If it only happened that one time, why does it not happen all the time? Why was it trying to grab her and pull her with it? There's just a couple things that I'm not sure of. Neither is she. She doesn't know what she could have done to aggravate it or instigate it or just bring the whole situation on. I mean, for all she knew, she came home and she was just chilling on the bed.
So she doesn't live in that house anymore, does she?
No. That was years ago.
Like both of them living in different houses. Do they see anything?
Again, like I said, later on in life, she saw, like, she won't sleep with the light off.
Oh, I thought you meant that like when she was still younger.
No, even to this day.
To this day, really.
No, she doesn't do it. I think there's been too many instances of things like that happening. I think that one scared her enough that while it was grabbing her and trying to pull her along, I think that scared her pretty bad. That And then like every once in a while, like if there's a shadow in the darkness at night, she tends to see it move. The shadow will move and it'll start to try and form into like a body or something. And she doesn't want to put up with that anymore.
Do they have any kids?
She does now, and she's told stories of her daughter has like when the daughter was smaller, the daughter I guess would see the great grandma would play with her in the back room. So,
but would she see shadow people too?
No, she wouldn't see shadow people, but she was playing with somebody that wasn't there and talking to him, and then when she was like 4 or 5 looking at pictures, she saw like, hey, that's who I was playing with last week. Somebody who had died like 8 years before. Oh wow! It was like the great grandma or great grandma. Like so even like ones that she hadn't, the girl Amanda hadn't met. Like the great grandma had like died before she was even born, and her daughter was like seeing that the great grandma like playing with her and talking to her. But as a young child, your body's not, or your mind's not developed into knowing the difference. That's why they always say that children are able to, or more susceptible to beings or whatever astral projections, anything like that, because they don't know the difference between the two. They're not
yeah, they're more
taught
they're more open-minded to things.
They're not taught that these were fake. That's BS. Leave it alone. They don't know anything like that. They're innocent. And so when they asked her as the daughter got older, they asked her if she remembers that. Of course she doesn't remember seeing the grandma. Like it didn't happen. But they remember when she was smaller it did. So I don't think that the daughter has seen any shadows, or her husband, but the husband is well aware of them. She's let him know, and so he complies. He doesn't get pissed about any of that stuff. She wants to sleep with the light on, she'll do it, no problem. But she won't sleep with the light off anymore.
I wouldn't do it either.
No, and again, she doesn't know why. She's not. She wasn't a drug taker, so she didn't. I mean, a little bit of alcohol here and there, but nothing like to get alcohol poisoning and to alter your mind or your body, your physiology of your body or anything like that. It was nothing, or drugs, nothing. You could say people who have been on big bends of drugs, will hallucinate and see things and maybe fry their brain a little bit, right? Fry some cells. Nothing like that she's done. At least that she told me. Again, she could be lying, right?
That she admits to.
Yeah, she could be lying. I mean, I haven't known her my whole life. I think, like I said, they could be interdimensional beings. I feel like parallel, beings. They could be bleeding into our world, or they know how, or something. Why they're able to watch us and we can't watch them? And again, what if we are able to watch them? We only see them in our dreams. What if our dreams are like a projection of a parallel Earth that we're seeing? Because notice how like some of our dreams, you might be in your home, but the home's always like looks really different. But in your dream, you don't notice it, and you notice it's different, but it feels right.
We could be the shadow people of their world when we go into the dreams.
Well, so what if we're projecting into their lives?
That's an interesting theory.
I mean, I don't know if that makes any sense, or if anyone's gonna think of me as some crazy fuck. I mean, I could be. But I'm just saying, what if our dreams are what's projecting that? We're actually doing it, but we don't know that. We just see them as dreams.
Well, they say, like we see in 3 dimensions, but there are more than 3 dimensions.
Yeah, exactly.
And it could be other creatures that see in a 4th, 5th dimension and are able to see us, but we can't see them because we can't conceive of that extra dimension.
Yeah, our mind doesn't know of it yet, so we don't know what we're doing or how to handle that. It's all very possible, but again, I don't know how we prove any of this.
Well, we can't. Well, we can talk about it.
Exactly. And again, if anybody has any stories or any comments about it, let us know, because I love to hear about all this stuff. Anything in these type of stories or theories or just thoughts, they're interesting to me. I don't scoff at any of them. Like I said, anything could be possible. I mean, even the dumbest thing could be the most right. You would have to accept it.
All right. So we're running out of time. So have a good morning, evening, or night. We'll see you next week. Until then, stay strange.
Goodbye, everybody.
If you enjoy the show, please go to iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you're listening from and give us a good rating. If you want to share a story or have ideas for future episodes, you're welcome to visit us at www.thestrangepodcast.com. We look forward to hearing from you.